And here it is, the single most frustrating mission in Goldeneye. The Deal Breaker. The mission that prevents this classic game from being as perfect as possible considering the constraints of the design team's inexperience with making first-person shooters for consoles, and within the limits of the game's engine. There's a reason this clip is the longest one in this LP so far, and why in most playthroughs, this mission makes me break out the Game Shark. Hell, the N64 was the only system that I bothered getting a Game Shark or anything like that for, and this game was the biggest reason why, with this mission being the biggest motivating factor. Calling it the Lion's Den is an understatement of the highest magnitude. I know, Moneypenny, but she's the only one we have that's available at the moment. Besides, I severely doubt you want to come to this little spot in Cuba. It's everything a vacation resort shouldn't be. Right, of course I have a goddamn turret that pays attention to the elevator like that. We're starting off rather wonderfully. Right, one turret down, and one immediately after it. Good God, we're getting torn apart in a hurry, and we haven't even reached the trouble spot yet. A third turret in the same goddamn room? Give me a break! How the hell did I forget this first room? But somehow remember trying and failing to protect Natalia here vividly. This mission is a goddamn grinder. Well, of course the mission failed. We didn't even manage to make it to the first door. Talk about your difficulty spikes. We barely lasted more than a minute and didn't even manage to kill a handful of guys before we went down. Let's try that again. Only without turning our super spy protagonist into a bunch of meaty wiffle balls. Seriously, that many guns just pouring bullets into us that quickly? And if the graphics allowed it, we probably wouldn't be identifiable as human. At least we managed to destroy the first turret without taking any damage. Let's see if we can manage the other two now that we know where they are. And that does it for the turrets in the first room, though there's certainly gonna be others in this grinder of a mission. Is it just me, or does the music just sound far too cheerful considering how much of a pain in the ass this mission is? Well, thanks for the compliment, but unfortunately we haven't reached the especially tough part yet. If we manage to give you the time to disable the Goldeneye satellites, then you have permission to praise us. Well, you're not going to be able to do much more than that from there. You're just going to be able to watch if we kill Boris later on and then decide to let the terrorist organization do whatever they please after we went through hell to get here. All for the sake of a man who stabbed you in the back, and in the movie Natalia actually did try to kill him. Because that version of Natalia felt that his actions crossed enough lines that whatever friendship they had was non-existent. I'm not even sure why this version of Natalia would object to that kill, since she's apparently willing to kill people herself now. And she certainly didn't show any hesitation, just gunning people down in the previous mission. Though she's certainly not gonna have the opportunity to show those gunning skills in this mission. She's also not quite as durable in this one, so in terms of consistency, something feels off to me here. Or maybe I'm just trying to come up with reasons to bitch before we get to the actual section of the mission that is the most especially frustrating. Good God, this music is far too laid back considering how brutal this mission is to deal with. Seriously, this music makes me think of a dance club, not getting turned into Swiss cheese in a super secret supervillain base. I was pretty inclined to completely ignore you until you spoke to us. Shame that shooting him would just make the next objective impossible to even try. This mission is already immensely frustrating to me without adding in Natalia objecting to us shooting a man who pulls a gun on us. A man who betrayed her after making the deal that killed all of their friends. Hell, what makes it even more absurd to me is the fact that the game wants us to believe that Natalia became some kind of combat badass after the off-screen training Wade gave her, yet Boris is supposed to be no threat for someone, even when he has a gun in his hand? I'm sorry, but I really have to call bullshit on that. Speaking of bullshit, beyond those bars is a bit of body armor. If we chased after Boris, we would have seen that the bars are merely there for show, not an actual obstacle of some kind. Hell, I don't even think we'd need to actually hit the button combination that would let us crouch. We just do it automatically as we come close to that spot. Anyway, time for us to destroy some of these servers before things really get rough when Natalia gets to work. Anyone else find it funny that destroying computer equipment before the computer expert does her specialized computer task doesn't in any way make her job more difficult? Assuming we survive, this will deal with the other servers later. Two of them are kinda close to, the glass there, and we're gonna need the extra barriers when things get especially rough. And I'm not sure the doors to the other ones will even be unlocked before Natalia gets to this next bit. Have I mentioned that protecting Natalia while she shuts down the Goldeneye satellites is my least favorite objective in this game? The enemies will just keep spawning infinitely from this point on, and assuming Bond doesn't get killed trying to hold them off, a few will possibly slip through to kill Natalia, and make our efforts in this mission so far pointless. At least. At first, they'll just have the two staircases as their way down, but eventually they'll start breaking through the glass and attack from even more angles. Bloody hell, this definitely isn't going to be a successful run. Oh, screw you, bitch. I'm getting dizzy just trying to keep an eye on so many angles at once. And may I remind you that we're trying to keep you alive here. to lose her because I get distracted by the enemies that are coming in from other angles. At this point, since the mission is completely impossible to complete, I'm just trying to see how many of the bastards I can take with us when we get killed. Sure, I probably shouldn't have switched the pistol if that's the case, but still, I wish I could count the sheer number of times this has happened to me in this mission over the years. Hell, this mission doesn't even feel like a fun type of challenge to me. It's just frustrating as hell. Doing with the pistol here, I have to wonder if we should just stick with that for this objective in the next attempt. Of course, I will be fast-forwarding through that attempt, since I just want to put this mission behind me already. Huh. I think we just saw someone spawn out of thin air right now. Wonder what makes these guys decide to stop running and start shooting. Are there pre-designated shooting zones in this room or something? "47. Somehow thought there were more, though I severely doubt that the turrets counted as kills. Right, let's give it one more sped-up try before we resort to using cheats of any kind. Don't want anyone to say I didn't bother trying to get this done the fair way before I resort to that. Of course, there were a dozen attempts between this one and the one we just saw. There's only so much footage I felt was worth keeping with this mission, and I think I hit the best attempts after that first quick slaughter. None of the ones where I just got so frustrated that I started doing very stupid shit just because I wanted to move on. Well, we've certainly perfected the opening bit of this mission into an almost dance. Now, if only I could perfect being able to keep Natalia from getting killed in that room instead of, at best, getting lucky with her managing to survive that mess. I think I'll save setting the mines until after Natalia's good this time. Grenades! Probably would have gotten some more distance if it wasn't for that pesky ceiling. The annoyance of being in an underground base, where things can get pretty cramped in a hurry. Though there are certainly a number of pretty wide open rooms. Definitely had to be a pain in the ass with the construction crews. Oh, it's probably easier to deal with than the idea of putting a satellite dish underwater and giving it the ability to rise up. And of course now I'm curious just how Janice dealt with the construction crews. Did they just keep them as permanent staff to do maintenance, considering how much of a pain doing upkeep for this base probably would give anyone? Or did they just execute the poor bastards for the sake of keeping their secrets? It's not like Janice was in any way connected to the old Spectre organization from the older movies. They were just a one-shot villain organization. Show up for one movie, and then cease to exist for the rest of the franchise. Hell, just how many one-shot organizations has Bond had to deal with over the years anyway? Why why the alarm doesn't go off until we try to do that one specific thing. We haven't even tried to be subtle in any way, shape, or form in any of these runs. Killing all the people outside of the base that were in our way, blowing up turrets, killing guards in here with unsilenced weapons, blowing up computer servers. There's just no way they didn't know we were in the base already with the amount of chaos we can manage to cause at this point. And once again, I'm starting to get dizzy trying to keep track of all the ways the enemy can get to this part of the room right now. And that does it. Natalia's done with her thing, so now we need to blow up all the computer servers. While still dealing with the infinitely spawning enemy troops. I may have made a slight miscalculation here. Oh dear, this definitely isn't going to end well, is it? Definitely too much to hope that I'd be able to pull it off without having to resort to cheats out of sheer frustration. Still, I can't say I made the same mistake twice. Every time I've screwed up, it's been something fresh. Well, if I remember right, there's a server right behind the glass, and that glass is bulletproof. Damn! I was kinda hoping that was the last one. Of course, even if I knew where the others were at the time I recorded this one, I'd probably get ripped to shreds there all the same. Right. Considering the sheer amount of trouble that came our way, I think I'm gonna have to make Bond more bullet resistant. We're not gonna be outright invincible, but we're at the very least gonna be more capable of taking those hits from the constantly spawning bastards. This is going to be our final run through this mission, and good God, am I going to be glad to see the end of it. I possibly should have thought to use save state so I would not have to keep repeating the starting bit over and over again, but part of me considered it a bit of a warm-up for trying to protect Natalia later. Seriously, that's one annoying bit of crap that you just do not want to do cold, no matter what. Okay, Natalia, the first room is open for you. This time I'm gonna try dealing with as many of the servers as possible before we deal with Natalia's objective. Sure, that means we're gonna be more worn down when things really start kicking, but at least we won't have to spend as much time trying to find the damn things once the alarm is blaring. Yeah. We're a good deal more durable now that our health bar isn't going noticeably down with those first few hits. Still, we're not fully invincible, so we can't just stand around and trade shots with the constantly coming enemies. Even if it wasn't full invincibility, it's still hard to feel proud of making progress with that thing on. And since I already have the game shard code in my emulator, it's gonna be tough to avoid the temptation to turn it on for the next two missions as well. Even if they aren't quite as frustrating as this mission, they're still several steps up from the stuff we dealt with before we arrived in Cuba. Does killing someone without even knowing they were there improve our accuracy score? Really wish there was some kind of counter for how many of these things are left. Why is it that sometimes the glass near those two servers doesn't break and sometimes it does? Does it have to do with where I place the bomb? Or is it just completely random? Sorry for the minor pause and a few of the future ones. Life decided to interrupt the recording session at the time. Anyway, this is the room with two turrets pointing in the same direction that we see in the mission intro. It's annoyingly easy to forget to do this from, and very brutal to do if you do it while the alarms are blaring. Especially since one of those turrets has a range that extends beyond the door by quite a bit. Still, once those two turrets are done, then the rest of the room is easy to clear out. And with that, the only server left is the one behind the glass that will stay in a locked room until the alarm goes off. Annoying, but I suppose it helps give the end of this mission a bit more sense of urgency. It certainly loses some of the speed you usually get in this game, since we have to wait for Natalia to get things done, and there's no real way to speed her efforts up. Well, at least outside of speeding up the footage even more than we already have. You know, I'd have been far more convinced she was hard at work if she had a chair to sit down in and was constantly typing, instead of just standing around and occasionally touching the keyboard. Not sure why the glass on the left and right hasn't broken on us yet. I don't think it has anything to do with the Game Shark code I've got activated right now. But to be fair, that code is purposely trying to break the game in a controlled way, and I am playing on an emulator. For all I know, it had some extra effects on this mission, and since this isn't an actual N64 with a Game Shark attachment between the game and the console. And that does it. We're done here. Or we will be once we get to the elevator. I think that's the only objective in the entire game. Has a factor in all three difficulties, but is never listed in any of them. And of course, Alec had to be a dick and just wait for us to get in here before hitting the button on the elevator to leave. I'm pretty sure the guy is part troll, and I'm also pretty sure that the mission should have already been over by now. It's funny the random details you decide to forget when you come back to a video game. So in order to follow Alec, we have to take a completely different elevator. An elevator that once again has the same waiting room music. For something that supposedly took less than 13 minutes to do, that really took a lot out of me.